Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on the location wherever you are. So, I Amit Chandak, Microsoft Power Platform MVP and Power BI Community Super User working as Chief Analytics Officer at Canarica, welcomes you in this webinar. This webinar is basically to let you know how can you start your Power BI journey, what things you supposed to learn, and what are the various learning resources. So I'll take you through few concepts, I'll take you through the few definitions, and I will also tell you what are the resources available, how can you take advantage, how can you start your Power BI, and how can you become an expert over a period of time. So Power BI is part of Power Platform. Microsoft has something known as Power Platform, and Power Platform is collective term which is used for five products. Previously, there were four products. Power Pages has been recently added to that. So, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages, and Power Virtual Agents. Now, while Power Apps is there for creating small web applications, it is also used for creating the mobile app. Power Automate is used to automate the processes, the repetitive tasks which you are doing, if they can be automated, and they can also be integrated. Both of them can also be integrated with Power BI. Like if you need to schedule a report and you need to do lot many tasks on that, sending it to different user row wise and all those, Power Automate can help in that. Power Pages is to create websites. Power Virtual Agent help you to create chatbots. Now, Power BI is a business intelligence and analytics service from Microsoft, which is what we would like to learn and we would like to have an expertise, because this is an era of data, and in this era of data we need to know a business intelligence and analytics tool. So what is business intelligence? See, business intelligence relate to decision making. As per olop.com, the term business intelligence refer to the technologies, application and practices for collection, integration and analysis and presentation of business information. So it is not only about presenting some beautiful dashboard. It is also about you know getting that data, collection, integration, analysis. It is all about that. It's not just one visualization or set of things you are showing on your dashboard. It's basically a term used for technologies, application, practices. Okay, so the purpose of business intelligence is to support better decision making, data driven decision making. In the era of data, you want to do data driven decision making, and to do those data driven decision making, we would like to learn Power BI, because Power BI is one of the leading business intelligence analytics tool, and it is there on the top of Gartner quadrant for quite some time. Now, when you want to learn Power BI, you need to understand that Power BI has an ecosystem. It's not only about Power BI desktop. So, when you will get your first interface with Power BI, most of the time you will end up, working on Power BI desktop. But it's not Power BI desktop, which is Power BI. Power BI ecosystem you have to understand. Power BI desktop, basically you just create the visualization, you create your models, and then you publish it, and then when you publish it, it goes to Power BI service. So Power BI service is where we do the collaboration, we share it with other users, we uh, schedule it, we subscribe to the emails, and that is where the entire user interaction happens on the Power BI service. Now, so let's understand the process how it happens. So first of all, you might have databases or data sets, means you might have your data in Excel, you might have in data sets, it may be available through some REST APIs and all those. You collect that all into a Power BI desktop and create a data set. So basically what happens on the Power BI desktop, we have data as well as the visualization together, but it internally there are two parts. One part is data or the model which you've created and the definitions which you are creating, and the second part is the visualization part. So once you publish it on the Power BI service, you will see that it has actually been divided into two parts. One is data set and one is visualization file. Now that data set is something which you can again use back into the Power BI. That is basically, you. So what we typically do is we create the model, we publish it without any visualization. We take that data set, do a live connection, and that's what is known as live connection. I'll explain you different kind of connections what we have here, and then you again create the visualization. So you create two layers out here. So that's where the desktop can use the data set which is actually published by the previous file and can again develop a visualization and publish it on service. Once we publish service on the service, we got a report. Now in Power BI, what you typically see in the entire world, what is known as dashboard is what we call Power BI as a report. Because in Power BI, dashboard is a collection of visuals or the report pages from different reports, and they can come from different workspaces also, and they may not be connected, and that is why Power BI dashboard is little bit different from what is the traditional definition of dashboard what you have in the other BI tools. Now in Power BI we also have something known as Power BI app, which could be a collection of report, dashboard, and few other elements coming from SharePoint, OneDrive, or Analyze in Excel. Now, Power BI data set, what we have created, which has been published on the service, can also be used in Excel as a source. Analyze in Excel is a common term used for it, but if you are on the latest version of the Excel, you will be able to connect to Power BI dataset and able to create pivot tables and analysis in the Excel. So if you are a user who like to still work on Excel, you learn, you want to still want to use the pivot tables and pivot graphs, you are free to do that by using the Power BI dataset. So the end user interactions happen with the help of Power BI. In Power BI Desktop, when you learn Power BI Desktop, you'll find there are two technologies which we are primarily using. One is for the data transformation, and we talked about this: data collection, data transformation, data cleaning. All those are the process which is there. So Power BI is there while we are collecting the data. You can collect it, you can merge the data, you can transform the data, you can clean the data, and for all these transformation cleaning, we have something known as Power Query or Edit Query module or Transform Data module, where you can do it. And the second part, and where this part, which is basically the visualization part, the second part is visualization part, where we primarily use DEX. The previous part where we use the transformations is the Power Query part. So you have to learn Power Query, which is basically driven by M language, and you have DEX, data analytics expression, which is little bit different, which is basically few set of formulas, pretty easy to learn. So you typically, whenever you start your career, you start learning DEX, and then you keep on enhancing your knowledge around Power Query, because in case of Power Query there are quite a few options which are menu driven, which has already been given to you. So even if you are not an expert at the AM language, you will be able to do quite a few operations. Now once you go into the depth of Power Query, you will be write down yourself complex transformation and will be able to do such kind of transformation in Power BI. Now Power BI, this Power Query part, which is actually known for transformation, ETL or data cleaning part of it, is a really powerful tool. But what was happening, let's say I take a file and I do those transformation. If I want to start with the same set, I can copy that file and do it. But what happens if I do some transformation and I need to pass it to the other user? How would I pass? I might have to pass the code, and that user has to again might have to do some changes because they might have already done some step on top of it, so they need to adjust. So what Power BI has done, Power BI come up with data flow. Now data flow is there in the Power BI service. Now Power BI service is an online, it is there which is, we use app.powerbi.com, or basically it is hosted on Azure. So it is a service on Azure, and on that Power BI service now we have data flow. What does it mean is you can centrally create the transformation or your small ETL on the cloud, and those ETLs can be shared with other users and they can access the data flow. They can access the data flow, and based on the data flow they will be able to create now their data model, and will be able to take that central part of transformation as part of their data model design. What is the advantage here? Now advantage is, let's say I have let a set of dimension, they need some complex transformation, so I can centralize all those transformations. Now once I centralize all those transformation, now no team need to know what has happened to get that dimension. So typically we do it for the most of the dimension and smaller facts or lookup tables, because if the fact is larger, typically in Power BI we prefer the import mode. In import mode means that I am going to import the file into the Power BI dataset. Basically I import it to desktop, then publish it, it becomes a dataset. I keep on refreshing that and it keep on getting new data. So basically Power BI dataset hold the data. So Power BI dataset import mode is the best. So what we do is basically we import it again. So one copy would be created in data flow, another copy would be created in dataset. So that is why if we want to avoid, so what we'll do is dimension, small fact tables, lookup tables, reference tables, static tables, all we will move to data flow on Power BI service, and now Power BI desktop is going to refer it. So now how does this entire process will work is we will have data flow, we will have data set, Power BI desktop, or we create the data set, and in that data set we will take it to, we'll publish it, and after publishing it we are going to use it back for creating visualization. So it means in our first flow we are not creating visualization, we are only creating the test visualization. Okay, so you just look at this diagram. I'll just look at if there are some questions on the chat and I'll try to answer that and I'll explain the rest of the things to you. So there is a question that I already done half of my journey of Power BI and now doing the projects. So I think in that case you need to only work on enhancing your skill. So Power BI community is a good place where you can go ahead and try to solve your problems. There are DEX challenges which are available, especially by Kerbal. DEX challenge 1, DEX challenge 2. You can attempt those, and you can also watch the advanced series where we are discussing quite a few advanced concepts and you can take advantage of those. So this is basically those who have already started the journey and want to enhance, they can take advantage of these resources. We'll discuss few more channels there once we come to that stage where I'll give you the list of channels. You will see there are quite a few channels which are talking about advanced concept. And another thing which you can start learning side by side is the uses of Power App and Power Automate inside the Power BI. It doesn't mean that you have to become a Power App expert or Power Automate expert. It just means that you would like to use them in effectively in Power BI so that you can increase your user experience for Power BI. Okay, so keep on asking question on the chat. I'm watching the chat, and if you have some question, I'll try to answer all those. So now you might have a good look at it. Now you might surprise what is this data mart. So in May 2022, Power BI released a feature which is known as data mart, where basically you get a read-only SQL server where data is being stored, and this data mart allows you to create a data model which can be queried by SQL as well as Power BI in direct query mode. So what happens? You get a set of table, you do the transformation using Power Query. Once you do the Power Query transformation, they again became the table in the SQL only. Those SQL table you can do a read-only queries on that, and as well as it gives you a direct query data set. So it means you can use it in Power BI also. It allows you to create major. So all the columns which you need to create is basically will be done using Power Query. So either you bring in the transform data or you can do everything in the Power Query and again it becomes a table. And then you can use this data set as direct query and can go ahead and utilize that. And I have a 1 hour long video on the uh, channel which explored all those options when it got released. It would have improved over a period of time, but it is a really nice option if you have right now, because it is limited by your capacity. So but it is a really great option where you can do all your transformation in the Power Query, set your all data up, and then you have equal access on SQL as well as Power BI. So nice option to explore, but is only available for the premium customers right now. So just go ahead and explore that out, data mart, watch that video and try to establish that. There is a trial available. If you have a pro version, then there is a trial available for 30 to 60 days typically to get premium per user to explore the premium features of Power BI. So take full advantage of that. Fine. So now Power BI, we are also talking about something known as report builder or paginated reports. What happens? This was previously very, you might have heard about SQL Server and reporting services. So you used to have that report builder. That report builder is now actually have been built as Power BI report builder. In Power BI report builder, while you can connect with other data sources, you can also directly use the Power BI data set. So what happens now? I created a data set. I was using it back in Power BI. I was using it in Excel. Now I can use it in the report builder to create paginated report. Typically the objective is to create pixel perfect report, and some of you who had worked on reporting services might have actually created that kind of report. Now if user wants some reports which are kind of pixel perfect or printable, report builder is a better option, so you can use that option. So this is another part in the ecosystem. So look how Power BI is getting integrated with different services. And not only this, we have Power Automate where we have connectivity, we have Power App where we have connectivity. So it is the entire Power Platform system which is getting built, communicating with each other, giving you a lot many flexibility to work around and give a better user experience. Now, just like all other tools, there are chances that you might want everything on premise. So Power BI do have an on premise version that is known as Power BI report server, on premise report server. With the for the on premise report server, you also get a Power BI desktop optimized for reporting server. The main Power BI version, which is typically released every month other than January, will not work well with that. You have Power BI desktop optimized for reporting server, which is typically released 3 times in a year, as well as the reporting server also released 3 times in a year. That is what you have to use, and it will keep the things in house. You don't have to go for on the cloud for that, but there are certain limitations. There are few additional things you can go and do on services. You can look for a comparison between Power BI service versus reporting server, and you will be able to easily get it. So this is basically the Power BI ecosystem which you have to learn. So here you have to learn few things. Power Query is really important. DEX is really important. Understanding of what is data set, what is workspace, security, what we call as report, what we call as dashboard. What do you mean by analyze in Excel? What is a Power BI app? What's a data mart as a new feature? And Power BI keep on coming with future features every month. So keep an eye on blog.powerbi.com because every month you have some release. In between, sometime there are few features come in, like the Power BI data mart and the field parameter feature came between two releases. So lot many features Power BI is releasing. They keep on doing announcement. They keep on coming with preview features. So stay connected with the blog.powerbi.com. There's a Microsoft channel also, which you can you subscribe and you can keep an eye for the new features which are coming in. So I'll look at if there is any other question. Okay, so domain knowledge. See, I'll tell you, domain knowledge is something as a beginner you will not get it. It's always great to have a domain knowledge. So that is why what happens is whenever we work, and that's one of the things which you're going to tell when we go further into the slides, that understanding data is really important because your visualization is finally for the end user, and those end user are the one who don't understand technology. They understand finally the visualization, the drill downs, the slice and dice capabilities which you are offering to them. So domain knowledge will only come with experience, but definitely, but and if you try to get it outside, typically the sales domain is most easiest and most widely used. Finance is another domain, but all these domains require little bit of depth in-depth knowledge. And if you go domain wise, then working on a tool like Power BI, which is domain agnostic, is going to limit your capabilities. So I would advise, if you are in the starting of your career, you should focus on the tool and the get as much domain knowledge as much you are getting with working with different projects. Once you are a little bit middle in your career, you might find one domain which you prefer more than other domains, and then you can pick and choose projects from that domain more than any other domain, and can become expert on that. And then you can become a business analyst or a domain expert or architect expert in that particular domain. Now the second, extracting meaning insight from data. See, the entire objective of business intelligence is to extract the insight, the knowledge, the information inside the data. So see what is happening. Am I doing good or bad? Comparison, isn't it? We compare data. So that that information, that I'm doing good or whether I'm doing bad, is that taking out insight from the data. That's the entire process of business intelligence analytics what we do. So we want to provide end user with the information to take a decision making, and that information is the insight. Okay, so you keep on putting your questions on the chat window, and I'll continue on the next slide. Okay, so what are the various things you should be knowing? Now, I have not categorized these things into categories and say, okay, you know database, you know need to know these things. But these are the various terms you should be aware of. First thing, you should be knowing what is data. You should be able to appreciate data. So whenever you look at something, let's say you walk into a store to purchase something, you should be able to understand what the data point is, what importance of those data point in analysis, how this store is going to benefited because of that. Please understand, when you go to a store in the modern days, the things, the order of the way it has been placed, the way things has been placed together, everything has a logic and a science, and it is all data driven. Sometime with the, a item which is highly selling, they keep a something which is low selling with little bit of discount, just because they know, because when you are going to go to that item which is selling pretty fast, and you see something which is getting a discount, you might end up picking up that. How they create different kind of basket, you might see 5 items together. How do they create that basket? It's all about analyzing this data. So having that eye for the data, whenever you look at the data, you are sure what is going to make a business sense out of it. So let's say we are doing this video right now. Are there any analysis point for this video? Isn't it? How many people are watching? How many at a particular moment, how many people were actually there in the live streaming? How many people actually liked it? How many did not like it? How many questions have been asked? What is the duration of this live stream? Then could be a comparative data in the similar live stream, how this live stream has performed. There are a lot of analysis we can do. So that's the now second thing is how data is stored. Now see, we don't have to just become a Power BI expert, we have to become a data engineering expert. Previously we used to call data analyst. Now data analyst could be a little bit more business oriented term and business analyst, but data engineering is a core engineering term. And when we talk about data engineering, it talks from the data origin. Now for us, the data origin is data is already been created, means already somebody has already taken that pain to put it into the ERP or the Excel sheet, and there our journey start from there. As a data engineering for the business intelligence, the journey start when the data is already available. It's available either in the structured format or semi-structured or unstructured format. From there the journey start, journey of putting them into the central places, transforming that data, cleaning that data, putting into finally into a structure where it can be used by reporting analysis tool, is the data journey what we are looking at. So the objective here is to become data engineering expert or data engineers, and moving towards data analyst, data architect path, because that's the path which is going to go do this. And Power BI is one of the tool which we are going to use in that path. Now, in some projects, Power BI is going to suffice all the need. In other part, you might have to look for Azure data engineering, where you have to learn the about data pipelines, you have to learn about data lake, Azure data lake, you might have to learn about Azure data factory, you might have to also learn about Azure Snap or Azure SQL, finally Azure analysis services and Power BI. So this is a longer flow, but you can start with Power BI and keep on learning other things and keep on adding to these skills to become a data engineer. So this entire pipeline is something, when you rise in your career, this entire pipeline is something where you have to go. And finally when you become architect, so there are, you can become data architect or Power BI architect. Now data architect is a bigger one, because then you are a tool agnostic, you're not only dependent on Power BI. Now knowledge of tool always helps, because there are certain things which works better on one tool than other tool, and so that is why having a great knowledge of the tool always helps when you are designing some model, because 80% of the problem or 70-80% of the problem will solve with generic model, rest 20% would need some different kind of designing, and sometimes tools can help you to solve those problems. So that is why it is really important to know where data is stored, how data is stored, and how we are finally going to store it. So whether it is stored in flat files, then how do we get it? If it is stored on let's say, do we need to get it from REST APIs, do we need to read it from files, Parquet files and all those? So how data is stored is really important. Basics of databases and SQL, this is really important skill. Now when you start your Power BI career, it is absolutely fine if some of you are not aware of that one, but slowly acquiring the knowledge of database and SQL is really important. especially with Power BI, where we use the terminology like facts and dimension, which I'm going to come in a few seconds, are used every now and then. We will say, okay, create common tables, create dimension table, create fact table, do this kind of join. So do, let's say, one to many join. From where these concepts are coming in, where this left join, right join concept is coming in. Now we can understand all those concepts with Power BI, no problem in that, but all these concepts are coming from database. So it's really important that at some stage of in your Power BI career, you start learning about database and SQL. And you might see, if you are my channel follower, that I already started a series on SQL. And the same reason I've done it, that the users who are my already got some knowledge from all those 200-300 videos, 200 plus videos in the beginner series, 300 plus videos in the advanced series. Now the next step for them is to look at the database and make sure that they know. Some of you might already be knowing, and that is a great thing to know. And some of you are on database and SQL and want to migrate Power BI. Yes, it is natural extension for you. If you are a Power BI, natural extension is database. Azure data engineering or AWS data engineering or Google data engineering is your next logical extension. But these two things, databases and BI tools, is something which you need to know in your career path. Basics of data warehouse. Now I talked about database. What is the difference between this database and data warehouse? Now understand one thing, which for last 30-40 years, database, and last 20 years almost, data warehousing, these terms have not left us. We have seen so many technological changes, we have seen so many things, but this is not going. So what happens is, basically, databases are typically create to optimize insert, update and delete. See, you are standing on a store, you don't want to wait for 5 minutes just to just to your transaction get committed. You want quickly 50 items by it should be as much as the speed of scan. It should not take lot much time to save and retrieve, save and give you a bill. Now what happens, this database design actually is done to make sure that it is insert, update and delete optimized, means inserting the data into the database. And most of the time, whenever you are doing a transactional system are mostly database system, RDBMS, relational database management system. So what happens in such cases is, this is optimized for insert, update and delete, because the deletion might also be required. But that doesn't work out well with when we are trying to do reporting and analysis. So for that, and sometimes what happens, you might have also multiple system. It's not only the read is fast, it's also about that I have multiple systems. I might have a SAP for some operation, I might have Oracle for another set of operation, I might have Microsoft Dynamics for some other operation, I might have Salesforce also. Now are these systems going to communicate and give me report on the fly from all these sources? No, we need to bring them together. Now why we might bring them together if they are a smaller system in Power BI itself. Otherwise, typically we prefer to create a data warehouse. Now data warehouse is also created most of the time in databases only. Now the database design might be columnar instead of RDBMS, and database schema type might be star schema or snowflake schema instead of relational schema, which are more optimized way of retrieval, data retrieval. So when we are doing the business intelligence and analytics, data retrieval speed is more important than insert, update and delete. And then there are kind of system where we talk about columnar system, we talk about distributed system, we talk about replicated systems, and all those terminology comes to optimize your speed of your data warehouse. When you come to data warehouse, you start using two terms, which is facts and dimension. And essentially those terms, facts and dimension, come from transactional table and masters or the common table. Now what happens is, basically whenever you are doing a transaction, that transaction is supported by a master data and getting stored into a transactional table. Let's say if I buy an item, am I going to store that item again and again into my transaction? No, I store an ID. And how do I know what ID name is? I will have a master, item master. Which brand it belongs, I will have another table which will tell me which brand this item belongs. Which category this item belongs, I might have a subcategory table and I might have a category table to do that. So in this manner, the relational schema is there, and finally in the transaction table, you only will have the IDs referencing to that. You will have date, you will have quantities and all those. Now transactional table itself could be master and detail. There could be more than one table which is actually storing the transaction data. Now when we come to data warehouse, this transactional table is actually holding the truth. my sales, my purchase, my revenue, my margins. It's all the truth about the organization, all the information, all the key performance indicator of the organizations are stored in this transactional table. And one or more transaction table with the help of one or more dimension finally gives us a fact. Now it could also be there that one table can give you one transactional table can result in more than one fact, but typically one or more transactional table will result in a fact. Fact is container of truth. Fact means truth. Container of truth, truth about your organization, sales, purchase, revenue, margins. So we got a fact, and the fact is the term which is being used in data warehousing, and you will see a lot of people use this term in Power BI also. Then comes to the second term, which is dimension. Now we talked about here master table. We talked about item master, brand, category, subcategory, category, and all those. So when we bring this kind of schema, we also create dimensions. Now dimension may come again from one or more table, and I might have an item dimension here. So dimension is something against which I am going to analyze my truth, my fact. And dimension also give me the comparative aspect, performance aspect. So I want to judge my performance using my facts, and to judge that performance I need certain attributes, and those attributes are contained by dimension. We'll take few more example as we move forward. In between, I let me check the chat. I don't see any questions. If you have any question, you can post. And to understand the difference between these two systems, you can understand by two terms: OLTP, OLAP, online transaction processing system. So this first system which I talked about, which is typically going to be the RDBMS, following the RDBMS model, relational model, it is basically known as OLTP. Basically, it is optimized for insert, update, and delete. Now the second system where we are having this facts and dimension, which is basically a system where we have lesser number of tables, but they might have a repetition of data. They follow star schema or snowflake schema, is the one which is basically our OLAP, online analytical processing system. OLAP. This is OLTP. Now those systems are optimized for read better. So they are basically for business intelligence and data analytics. These systems are basically for the core operation, running day-to-day business. That's why we call transactional system. They are there to help us out to run day-to-day business of the organization. While OLAP systems are there to run the decision making in the organization. So that is why they have difference. They could, so typically what happens is, if it is a database, this will follow relational schema, but these two will follow star schema and snowflake schema. I'm not going to go into the details of this schema, but this schema is highly normalized. We don't want to repeat any information. These schemas are highly denormalized. The information is repeated. The only objective is fast retrieval, and it has been identified these two schema, which is also known as dimensional schema, are best for business intelligence and data analytics. They can be stored in a RDBMS, they can be stored in a columnar RDBMS or a hyper performance RDBMS, depending on how it has been configured. Then knowing basics of Excel always helps. Now one of the reason Excel could be your source, but that's not going to. But what happens, the very validation typically happens on Excel. So knowing how to create simple if sum if and all those basic calculation, doing a pivot table, taking sum, averages, min, max, it's always necessary, because your data verification tool might be in Excel. The end user might already be using it. Some of the formulas might be lying in the Excel, and you might have to understand those. So knowing basics of Excel is always important. So at least you should be comfortable using Excel and validating data. Let's say if I give you two tables and I say validate this data, I know if you are a SQL expert and Power BI expert, you would like to go ahead and load it there and compare it. But please learn Excel for all such things, because end users who are a business user are more closer to Excel or spreadsheets than anything else. So knowing little bit about those things, how can we compare set of data, is really important. So know that much of basics of skill. Again, there are quite a few channels. When you go to the list of channels I've listed out, there are channels where the tutors are teaching Excel also, and there are quite a few good tutors which are there. So please make sure that you know a little bit about Excel. If you already not knowing, Excel is typically these days teach in school, so most of the people might be aware of the basics of Excel, but it is really important to know business intelligence and analytics. We discuss already discussed the definition. That's the ecosystem where we are working in, and that's where all these terminology has been used. So knowing about that, what finally we are going to achieve, what is needed by the user is really important. So these are the few things you need to know. So you still keep on looking at that slide. I'll look at the questions if we have. Okay, is English important for a Power BI job? I think communication skill is really important, and most of the time, because we are dealing with the customers who belongs to dominant English regions, it is important for you to know. So while we can learn Power BI in Hindi and all those, and while you can get a job also because of your good technical skill, over a period of time you have to improve it. So please make sure you work on that and improve it a lot. If that's the question for you or anyone you are advising it, over a period of time it need to improve. Yes, you can learn it using Hindi or local languages or whatever you know, but over a period of time that need to be improved. You will be able to get your initial job in Power BI because of your good technical skills, but over a period of time it is really important to know that. Okay, so now we'll come across few terms quickly, and then we will go and tell you, what are the resources which you should be using to learn your Power BI, or where you can enhance your stuff. What are the various places, where the various links. Some of the links are already there in the description. On a few of them, I'm going to share it out here also. So what is data? So data is a set of qualitative or quantitative variables. Data and informations are often used interchangeably. So what is this qualitative or quantitative? So something which you are going to measure, and against something which you are going to measure it. So something which you can count, you can sum it up. You can say sales, you say quantity. That is, quantity. Quantity. Now then you have, against which this is going to be measured. Item, city, time. Okay, so these kind of things. Data is collected to provide information. Data can be structured, unstructured, semi-structured. We are generating data every moment, and by any action we are doing. So right now we are doing this webinar, we are generating the data. So watching video, you are watching this video right now, you are part of this webinar, you are generating data. Buying items, you go to a store, you buy some item, you generate a data. The moment you enter, the data capturing might start. Footfall. You calling on a mobile, you know which provider to which provider call, how many minutes call, from which location to which location the call. It's all generating data. You do the travel booking, you generate the data. In fact, your search generated data. If you might have seen, sometime you just leave your search, the other applications start providing you information about booking hotels. You just search for a flight, they say okay, book hotels. How do they? Definitely sharing the data, but travel booking is data against search data. How does Google know what you're searching? The moment you talk Power BI, it might search Power BI tutorial, Power BI learning, learn Power BI, learn for beginners. It knows because of your past search. It learns from a lot of data or people around you, your location, and now it is suggesting based on that. So it's generating the data, and that data has been utilized to give you a better user experience in terms of what you are searching. So let's take few more example. A simple example to understand how the data helps us, and this will give you a little bit of perspective. How data helps us and why we should do business intelligence analytics, or why should we learn Power BI. So you enter to a store, the footfall has been captured. And sometimes the footfall is not that they were going to count you. There are tools now where you're passing by certain places, they can know the people are coming in, or they can take it with the there are devices which can actually capture it by sensing it. Sensors are there, so either sensors are there, and when you pass through something, that is another way they can capture it. Stay on place or heat map or popular sections. So there are heat maps which are created where were the most people lying at a particular moment. It could be a single store where they are capturing it. It could be a store where there is one particular store in a bigger mall where more people go. They know, okay, most people goes there, so there is something we additionally we can do to sell, increase the sale, or we can, that place is something which could be a little bit costly, because there is a good store running in, people coming out might look out for other stuff. you know while you are billing the items, when you go to the store, you purchase something now, isn't it? So you went to a store, you contributed to footfall, you stayed at a place, you contributed to the heat map, you are buying an item, you have created, sales in the date item. So there is an entry which is happening in the sales item, you have done some sales, you have been given discounts. Discount might be, at the line level or maybe at the header level. You buy an item, there was a discount, overall bill discount, 4,000 rupees or more you purchase, $200 more you purchase, you get a discount. You have another entry which is getting in. Now when you buy something, the inventory is going to reduce. Sometime it may fall below a level, then I might have to reorder it. So every time you're buying an item, think about that not only your sales transaction is getting recorded, the inventory also need to be updated. And if inventory falls below a particular uh, level, then you need to also think about reordering them. Then you can have footfall to sales ratio. And I'll come back to this footfall to sales ratio, why we are not bothered about sales, and why we are bothered about footfall to sales ratio, or why even we are bothered about footfall. We will learn concept of couple more concept where you will understand why this footfall is also important rather than actual sale. Now, in business intelligence and analytics, few more terms which you need to understand. And before I go, I just checked out on the chat, I don't see any other questions, so we'll continue. So we talk about major, matrices versus parameter, filter, dimension. What is a major? Anything which you want to use for performance measurement. Sales, revenue, targets, margin, profit, all these are measurables. We are going to measure the performance. See, business intelligence and analytics are all about, knowing the performance in an organization, how well we are performing, so that we can take a decision. If you are not performing well, we need to take a decision. So there are measures which is going to tell you about that. Now you need to measure this against something. Against what? Against time, against geography, against customer, against vendor, against item. You got a marks, whether you got good marks or bad marks. You might compare with your peers. Okay, everybody got bad marks in the class, it's fine, the paper was difficult. But somebody getting full marks and you are getting less marks, oh, it means that that guy has done some better studies than you. So always there is a comparison. Or you compare, okay, last semester I got this much marks and now I got this much marks. Time, you're comparing with the time. Last class I was second topper, this class I'm first topper. Again, comparison. Same way we compare how the city versus city perform. What is my sales in Bangalore versus what is my sales in Hyderabad? If I'm doing more sales in Hyderabad and less in Bangalore, and not at all doing sales in Bangalore, do I really need a store in Bangalore? Or my store in the Bangalore is at the wrong location? See, that is how, when you measure the things, when you compare it, it gives you the decision making. Similarly, who are my top 10 customers, top 10 vendors? What happens if I lose my top customer? Now let's say, don't talk about sales business. The sales business could be an IT business. If an IT firm, their top 2 customers is contributing, let's say 70% of business, or let's say top customer is contributing 70% business, they are at a huge risk. What happens if that customer goes away? They will lose their business immediately. They have to minimize the risk. Bank has to minimize the loans or to a particular customer. It should not fall like 10% of the entire thing has been loaned to one particular organization. If that organization fall, the bank will fall. So these kind of things, this all comes from data. That okay, we are at risk, we are not at a risk. What happens if the customer goes away? What happens if the top selling item is stop producing? Like in Corona, we were not having the microchip. The entire car production suffered because laptops were more in need. So laptop chips were getting prepared, not the car chips. And we have long waiting for the car and automobiles after once the Corona is over. Because at the need, we have taken a decision what is selling more. Okay. So all these you will be able to know. Now why there is a global semiconductor crisis? Unless we look into data, oh, this were the factories shut down, or were they not producing were they producing something else? They were actually producing something else, because at the corona time, people working from home, the demand for the laptops and desktop has increased, because you need to have the laptop, your kid needs to have laptop, they're attending class, everybody needs a machine to attend the meetings and everything. But what happens as soon as it is over, so many machines are not needed. You go into physical classes, the need for the kids for having the laptops is no more there, and you went back to office, you don't need two laptops, you might only able to work with one laptop. So all these things are there, and that's how the things and scenario change. But if we analyze the data, we'll be able to know. Then there is something known as, let me check if there is any other question. Now there is no any other question. We will do one, we'll proceed further with the type of matrices. So lead and lag. Now when you move little bit ahead in your career, and when you start understanding the business, you have to also understand there's something known as lead matrices and lag matrices. See, what typically we are analyzing is the lag matrices. Sales has happened. The loss has already been made. The profit has already been booked. Is the dissection of the data. It is already has happened when we are diagnostic it to know the root cause. It is not proactive. So what we are doing right now when we are talking about sales, margin, profit, purchase, sales, everything which is coming typically from our ERP or transactional system is lag. It's already happened. Okay. So things have already has happened. So now what should we measure then, which can tell us what could happen? We talked about footfall in couple of slides back. Now, if the footfall is decreasing, it means the sales is going to go down. Now, you may say, okay, every evening it decreases or every afternoon it will decrease. It's not about that. Let's say in a mall, if the crowds start coming particularly less, all the first what would happen when the less people start coming, it may be okay. The outlier is not coming. Maybe the people who are very interested in buying something from there is coming. So your sales might not decrease. But what you will find over a period of time, when this lead matrix, the footfall continue to decrease, ultimately at one point the sales will decrease. People no more having interest there. So similarly, we look for the lead matrices. We always look for the lead matrices to make sure that we know what is going to happen. It is very important to know what's going to happen. It's not also about always predicting the doing the forecasting and all those. There are lead matrices. Now how do experts are saying there is going to be economical downtime? Because there are parameters which are there, like investment in the startups has already decreased, the petrol prices are at high, the gold prices are increasing. The rise of the gold price, the rise of the inflation, and it continues to stay high, the company is not able to perform. All these are indicators. So right now few indicators are already at the stage where the economic downfall can come, because we have the fuel prices at high, inflation at high, gold prices start rising. It is indicating it could fall down. Now the only thing which is happening is right now the companies are still showing profitable, the market demand is not decreasing. The moment that start falling little bit, we are going to have economic downfall. So the lead matrices are predicting it. So this data is also available. So always there is data. Similarly, what happens, organization do keep eye on metal exchange data, because some of them might be using metals. If the metal prices goes high, their future prices will go high. So they have to increase the price. It is not that when they are, so by the time they are using their manufacturing, they know future manufacturing is going to be costly, so we have to increase the price now. Otherwise what would happen, they will incur the loss in future at some stage. So this is really important. Whenever you do some kind of analysis, try to understand what are the lead matrices for that, because it's always easy to analyze lag matrices. It's a post-mortem. Our sales has already been done, loss has already been booked. We are just seeing what has happened in the past. But lead matrices is something which can tell you what could happen in future. So always as a business analyst or as a data analyst, when you move in your career, always try to understand what is the lead matrices for this business and how can you put that lead matrices into the system. So make sure that they know what's going to happen instead of what has happened. So let me see if there are any other questions. See, exploratory data analysis and explanatory data analysis. So something we know is descriptive and diagnosis. See, basically descriptive is what it is. Like this is my sale. Okay. So you're just exploring. Now, why my sales has gone down? Diagnosis. Has the sales gone down because everywhere the sales has gone down or few stores the sales has gone down? Yeah, now you came into diagnosis mode. What do you mean by sales has gone down? It has gone down against the target or it has gone down against the last year or last quarter or last month or last week comparison. So these are the things which is going to decide your diagnosis. And once you start diagnosis, you are trying to seek explanation. You want an explanation why it has happened, the root cause. That is why we are doing diagnosis. So typically we use DDPP, descriptive, diagnosis, prescriptive, predictive. So descriptive means what you call it explanatory. Okay. Exploratory. Descriptive means exploratory. You looking at the number, sales is this much, purchase is this much, revenue is this much, margin is this much. Exploratory, why? Why margin is 50%, not 40% or not 30%? What has went well, what has not went well? Diagnosis. Explanatory. Prescriptive, machines tells you do this. Machine learning algorithm, market basket analysis. Prescriptive. Combine four things. That's prescriptive. Predictive, forecasting. This could be the sales in the next month. So there are four parts: descriptive diagnosis, prescriptive, predictive. Typically in Power BI or most of the BI tools, we are doing first 2D. Some of them do enable, like Power BI enable the forecasting. They do enable predictive. Prescriptive is something still we are dependent on data science. Now prescriptive is a long stuff, like knowing this customer can become bad or not, which include your clustering or classification, machine learning algorithms, which may include machine learning or deep learning. All those are part of the prescriptive learning. Now predictive is also machine learning, prescriptive is also machine learning. Thanks for asking this question. I think hopefully that's clear. Now, type of data, we talked about that we need to understand data. So what are the type of data we have? We have structured data. Typically 90% of the time when you are doing the DD or descriptive diagnosis, or when you are doing with the business intelligence tools like Power BI or Tableau, you are going to deal with the 90% of the data is structured data. Now, the you are dealing 90% structured data, but the thing is reverse. 90% data might be unstructured. But for analysis, mostly we are using the structured data. Sometime even if you have semi-structured data or unstructured data, you might convert it into a particular structure and you might use it. Okay. So semi-structured data, like data, again they are stored in the databases and files. Like semi-structured is survey, blogs, and like in YouTube also you might see part of it, like when you give thumbs up or when you watch time, and all those are pretty much measurable. Means you can say 20 likes, 13 likes, 50 likes, and all those, isn't it? That's pretty simple. But part of it is text, and sometime, like look, sometime it may be not completely structured. The structure could be really different, unstructured data totally. Your resume, now person X and person Y's resume is altogether different. Let's say you send me my resume, I need some system to identify, let's say, name, phone numbers, and all those things from your resume. Let's say I'm not asking for that structured data. Let's say when we fill in the form, some of them is structured and some of them is unstructured. Unstructured is where you put your remove, so it becomes a semi-structured form. Sometimes you are writing down text also, so the resume is completely unstructured. Now sometime what happens in unstructured, the machine logs. When I'm talking about machine logs, I'm not talking about the machine data which it passes like bits and bytes. Typically that is pretty organized. 16 bits meaning is this, what you typically capture as your IoT data is. Now it might be huge, but typically it has a meaning. So but what happens like machine log, when you write down a Java program or some program and it errors out, it get tons of log. If you want to know from that log, that is not a structured log. Means a different error, it might throw different stuff, and different studios might throw different data. It might not have the same structure. It might give more or less. So there's no structure. We can't say how to analyze this. So that's where we need the tools or technologies like text analytics, machine learning, deep learning to analyze such kind of data. Ultimately, we put it into some structure and then analyze it. It's all ultimately it's at the end of the day it's mathematics. So some key features would be identified and those features would be used to finally take a decision. Like when you, let's say you are a manager and hiring people, so you are having 100 resumes. How are you going to decide which resume to pick up? All unstructured data in front of you. Think about it. So you will decide some features in your mind, isn't it? Okay, I'll only take masters or btech, so I'll ignore bsc candidate. You might say I only take 70% and above, so you might ignore it. Another feature you have taken. See, you are taking features, and same way machine has to also learn. Now see, this is unstructured, but what you are doing is putting a structure feature. Now you say, okay, if this guy has more than 4 changes in last 5 years, every year he's changing job, we'll not consider that again. You put down one more feature, number of changes. Then you might say, okay, this candidate asking X salary as per my organization, this could be the Y salary. He's below Y, then I'll consider. If he's above Y, I'll not consider. Another feature. So what is happening? The data is unstructured. We are getting the features, making the analysis as structured. That's how the entire machine learning process happens. You get the features, and based on that feature, you kind of create a structure, and then you do all this decision making. Okay. Another interesting part, but we will not talk about Python and machine learning. That's the entire Python, R, machine learning, Azure machine learning, AWS machine learning, all those. It's a long topic to discuss. Now, what we are doing while learning Power BI, business intelligence analytics, and understand these steps, because as you move in the future, as you move around your career, it is really important that you understand these things. First thing is understand business. See, remember, we are not solving problem for our learning. We are not learning Power BI. We are not learning DAX. We are learning to solve a business problem using DAX, Power Query, or Power BI, or Tableau. So if you don't wear your shoes of your business, if you don't understand their problem, you will never be able to reach. And it many times happen, they are talking about the same thing, but different department again talk about different things. You know, you go to the sales department, they talk about sales. You go to the finance department, they also talk about sales. But their definition of sales and the finance definition of sales might be altogether different. And that is what you have to understand. The customer satisfaction department talks about turnaround time, TAT. The service department talks about TAT. The TAT might be different. One might include the quality assurance, checking back with the customer, other might not include. So those definitions could be really different. So that is why really important to understand business. Another thing is why they are using that thing. So one of the questions when you deal with the end user should be, why are you using this analysis? What is decision? Because what may happen, they might ask you a table, dump it in Excel, do 4 more things, and then take the decision. That's not your objective. Your objective is that you give them something on Power BI or the BI tool where they are able to take a decision. It is not your duty to give them something which they dump in Excel. That is why it is really important to understand business. Why you are doing, what is the definition of that, what is going to benefit, how you are going to utilize it to take a decision. If you go around these questions, you will be able to know what is needed. You don't have to dump a table which they finally take it out in this spreadsheet. That's not our objective. Then understand data. Once you understand the requirement, you have to understand data. And over a period of time, like one of you asked about the verticals. What happens when you start working with a business, you will start understanding the data and the vertical. Like you keep on working with manufacturing, after some time, okay, what is WIP, what is book to order, or what is this to order, what is that to order, what is scrap, what is this, what is that, you will be able to understand. You work with inventory, you will be able to understand beginning of period inventory, end of period inventory, average inventory, inventory turnaround, and all those you will be able to understand. You start working with finance, you will be able to understand a few other KPIs. You will be able to understand why somebody is focusing on margin, why somebody is focusing on revenue. All those things you will be able to understand. So it's really understand and map the data back with the business requirement. Because what would happen is, typically when these business analysts happen, they might have 5 6 excel where they have some more supportive data, and they will tell everything is available that is not available in the data. There is a gap. So when you understand the requirement and you map it back and try to understand the data, you will find out where is the gap. You will say this data is not coming. I'll tell you, there are big organizations where their masters might be lying in Excel sheets for analysis, because their masters might be coming from 2 3 system, and that might not be bring in the data warehouse. The masters are might be still lying, in the spreadsheets. The final masters might have logics in the spreadsheet. Somebody analyzing that data in the silos, having that master with him, and that's a big risk to the organization. So that is why it is really important, once you understand the business, understand the data. Now comes the understanding of BI tool. Now I told you, typically we deal with star schema and snowflake schema, and they're pretty good in resolving your problems. They might solve your 80% problem, or sometime even 90% problem, but rest of the problem need to be solved by a different kind of modeling. And whenever you look at my advanced series, you will realize that sometimes we tweak the model. We don't follow the star schema, standard star schema. We sometimes even do many to many join, which we say always do one to many single directional join. You will see we do many to many join also to solve the problem, because solution of the problem is important. And why we are able to do many to many join? Because we understand the tool, that this is how many to many join is going to work in Power BI. So understanding tools helps that. We know in the Power BI how the grand total is not going to work, because they are recalculated. We understand if you need certain few things in the Power BI, then how the row context play in the role when we do the things. That is why it is important to understand, because the row context what we have here might not be there in the tableau. If you're doing the problem solving in tableau, you might have to do differently. Like here we do time intelligence by using time intelligence, or by using the windows function, or by using the index functions. The same thing we might not do in Power BI or tableau. Tableau we might use only lookup function. So that is why knowing a BI tool will help you to design a better schema and better analysis. So that's what solve your model. So once you understand these three, you will be able to design your model. And understanding modeling is going to be a key when you become data architecture. The moment you look at the data, the model, how it is going to look in star schema, what is not going to fit in the star scheme of things, this solution will not fit in star schema. I need to have something additional. I need to have a separate fact, or I will need to violate the star schema, or I need to have a separate set of fact and dimension to solve this problem. You will be able to know after some time. So modeling, understanding of BI tool will help you to design a better model. Next thing is creating analysis. Finally, you need to create analysis, and you have already asked the user at the beginning what is analysis you need, why, how you are going to use it, how you are going to take a decision making on that. Because you have asked those questions, your analysis is going to help you out. Your analysis is only going to help you out to the end user, only going to help the end user if you have asked that question. If you have not asked, you will going to end up dumping him certain things which he or she might not be able to use. So it's really important that you go ahead and understand that things. Now I'll look at if there is any other question. I don't see any other question right now, so I'll move to the next slide. Now comes to the real thing. What are the resources you have to learn Power BI? First of all, there is a certification which is known as PL300. And let me take you to the page. And why you will be thinking we are starting Power BI journey and he's talking about certification. The reason is the PL3 certification page has a really good learning path. So if you click here and you start reading it each step by step, it is a really good learning path. But I'll not advise you to just directly jump into it. Little bit acquire the knowledge on Power BI, and then this is a really good learning path. Even if you don't want to do the certification on PL300, that might not be your objective, but completing this learning path will help you. This is a really good documentation. Now, other documentations, which is Power BI has comprehensive documentation. Microsoft has comprehensive documentation around Power BI, but that documentation you might not be able to reach it. But this is very targeted documentation around PL300, and it is a good one to have a targeted one. And that's why I suggested you. Now let's go back to the next one. Now you can pick up a YouTube course. Typically, let me tell you about my journey in that case, and that can benefit you. I started by picking up one video, one or two videos which are 1 hour or 2 hour, giving a brief overview, or taken up one larger video and done that, and post then I done a Udemy course. Now I have done, because of that time, the what was availability of the videos. Now in case you are starting right now, there are quite a few 10 hours videos which are available on YouTube. One of my videos is also available, which is 11 hour, which you can use it. Okay, I have given the link here. I'll paste that also in. And let me do one thing before I move forward. Let me paste that PL300 link for you in the chat window. Okay, now let's go back to this one. So I started with UTM, done a Udemy course, and then the next thing which I done is I went to the community. I started solving problems on the community. Now community has lot many galleries which you can also take advantage, and you might find really good videos on that and blogs on that. But yes, after the basic learning, you will be able to take full advantage. By solving the problems, you will be able to know, increase your knowledge. By looking at some of the galleries, blogs and videos, you will be able to do that. So let's look at what are the videos and galleries are available for this one. So if you go to the community.powerbi.com, let me give you this link. So if you want to solve the problem, you can go to the communities like I think I scrolled a little bit faster. Yeah, desktop service, report service, Power Query, mobile app, developer, Dex commands, tools and tips. So if you are looking specifically to solve Dex problem, you can go here. Power Query problem, you can go here. Generic problem, desktop is mostly getting generic problem. Services do get problem related to service. So you can start solving those problems. And even if you are not able to solve, you have some problem you want to ask, go ask and ask in community. So you have to create a login here. You can see my face is there because I already created a login. And please remember, this login can only be created using a organizational ID. So using your college or organizational ID, create the login. And if you have some problem, you can also ask. Make sure you describe the problem to us very carefully, and break it into the pieces. Don't just give 4 table and ask what model need to be created. Please remember, the community is there for the people to solve their real time problem at the organizational level. It is not for your education purposes where you ask the complete problem and try to get the solution out of it. It is for the people who are doing the Power BI project, facing some problem. So try to keep the problem at a small level, so that okay, I was doing this thing and this is stuck. So instead of asking complete model, you can say, okay, these 2 tables are there. When I join it, the data is not coming correct. This is my join. This is my sample data. What I'm doing wrong. This was my expected output, and this is my actual output. What I'm doing wrong. So if you be very specific about the problems, you will get easy solutions. So that's why I say you can go to community to ask the help, but little bit of Power BI. After that, it will help you a lot. Now in the community also, you have these themes gallery, data story gallery, and you have the community blog. Okay, so community blog is another good place where you have a lot of blogs coming on table, latest feature updates. You will have like DAX functions in 2022 query, Power Query, uncommon entries between two lists, Power Query, remove blank rows. So many things are there. Keep on getting scrolling, and you will keep on getting the blogs, newer and newer blogs. Okay, and every day somebody is writing down. So be regular on the community, you will learn something new. Then there is a data story gallery. I have posted my video here. People keep on posting their webinars and Power BI webinars, whichever happened, they are getting posted here. So data story gallery, is about data, but then we have webinars and videos, so you can get ideas from the data story gallery, what kind of visuals to use, how to use. Sometimes people share PBIX, you can learn new formulas and all those. Then you go to videos and webinar galleries. There you will see, this is 20 February 2023 update videos is already there. Now change visuals and bookmark button, it is there. So many things are there. This is my video, I also posted it. One more thing which you should do is basically whenever you go to the community, you like some post, please, please do a practice where you like the content, because what would happen then, other people will be able to know that this is a good content. You can see so many things are there without like, isn't it that something we could have liked it, because that will appreciate and motivate people to do more things. If you appreciate what they are doing, then they will go ahead and do more, and that will help you out. If you appreciate people answering you, even though he has not answered completely, you can say, okay, part of it has helped me, give him kudo and ask him the next set of problems. They will appreciate people to reply you more. Okay, so these are the few things you can get, to do things. Now, so this is the help you can get from community. So ask the questions in community, try to solve the problem in community. That will help you. So you have done basic from either from YouTube or Udemy, Coursera. There could be many things around it. There are many such channels available where you can do some paid courses. Okay, and we will also be starting some live classes, so stay connected me on LinkedIn. So if you are connected with me on LinkedIn, I'll give you the link of Telegram channels to be joined, where I'll doing some announcement whenever we are going to have the live classes. I'll give you link for my LinkedIn, and then you can use that. So let me give you my LinkedIn profile link. So if you are not connected with me, you can connect with me, and I'll give you the channels to be joined, where I will be doing some announcement for the live classes. Now there is one important blog which I come out, which will solve quite a few of your problems. So, but not everyone in this list having their own videos of 10-12 hours, but yes, few of these people which I've listed out here in the important links. And again, I'm going to give you this link. In this one, I have listed out quite a few channels, and those channels you might be able to find out the beginner tutorial, just like one you have in my channel. So important links, every Power BI enthusiast should bookmark. You can bookmark this single page and you will get anything. If you find something is missing, there is some good content which you missed out, you can let me know, I'll edit here. I keep on editing this blog as per need. So Power BI download link, latest version. Power BI old link if you want. Latest update. This is the blog I was talking about. Power BI guidance document, DAX function document, community support link. We have done a webinar. How can you get answer quickly? Please watch that. So you will get the quickly answers. Then you have community link, desktop, service, report server, Power Query, DAX, mobile, developer, official Reddit link. It is not only community, Reddit also you can go and ask. Okay, people do reply there. Okay, so people do ask problem there. The official one you should join, and you can ask problem, and also good content is available there. Theme gallery, in case you need theme. Data story gallery, you can get files there, you can get themes there. Webinar and video gallery. MABS, Microsoft, whenever their webinars happen, they are also available there. Community blog, link is there. Ideas, if you find some feature is missing, you can go and check in idea, and you can also give idea for improvement. Known issues, there is a special page which has been created for known issues. If their issue is not known, you can report your own issue. Now, report is something different from community support. Community support is to help you out. But known issue is something you identify. So you identified there is an issue. This is the feature issue. And typically it happens at the start of the release. So you can go ahead and, log in a new issue. If you are a customer, you might want to log a support ticket link is there. Custom visuals. If you want custom visual, what are the custom visual available? This is the link where you can go ahead and check out all the visuals. These are all the Power BI channel. There could be more. I might not be knowing all of them. So if you want me to add certain things which I missed out, having great content, please let me know. Official Power BI channel, monthly release you will have. Guy in a Cube, again, great channel to learn. Kerbal also, not only she has a channel, but she also keep on giving you DEX challenges. Keep on exploring those DEX challenges, improve your DEX. My own channel is there. SQL BI, Radacat, Heavens Consulting, Casper BI, BI Consulting. Pawan Lalwani has a great video on Excel, as well as he also have a 8-hour video for beginners. So if you want to take advantage, Vijay also have great content. Perry has great content, and then TAIK18. This is from Mohammad Adnan. He has given a great content also, and he's also teaching right now these days Power App. So take advantage in case you are looking for Power App, and you can connect with him on LinkedIn. and can follow his post on Twitter and LinkedIn to see what new things he's teaching these days. Greg has a great channel. He has two channels basically. So one of them is this Microsoft Hearts Greg, and then How to Do Power BI is one more channel which is actually pretty good. Then Dwayne Shaw, another there is a channel which is pretty good. Now these are the blogs which are available. I already given the Dex challenges links here, and I also have my micro medium blog where you will get the link in the end, or I should have also given it here. Okay, my all medium blog is there. Around 50 plus blogs are there on the medium itself, other than the community blog which I have written. Then you have the external tools if you want to use the external tools. So tabular editor, Dex Studio, ALM toolkit, meta translator, bi dot power bi dot tips have a tool, report analyzer. Then you might require some data set to learn, isn't it? So what, where are you going to get data sets? So Microsoft also provides some sample data set. You can take those desktop samples, you can take from here. You can also get my files. So these are few links which are there where you can get the files. Other than that, there are common open data sets which are also available. So take advantage of these. Let me give you this link. Then other than that, on my channel you can get the whatever videos. So typically it has been organized in a few series is basically there are on my channel. So there is a beginner series, there is an intermediate series, there is advanced series. Those who are Hindi, there is a Hindi series. Hindi series also have two series. One is on demand whenever you ask for a video, and I know this is not going to fall in place of the series, because typically what happens, series we are learning running step by step. Dex function, we are doing one set of Dex function, then we are going to do one set of Power Query functions, might be doing the time intelligence function, then we'll not want to jump around and give other things. So that is why both the things in the English we are calling it abstract thesis series, in Hindi we are calling it on demand series, that contains video where we are jumping around and giving it. So if you are on the channel you will be able to get. But what I've done here is basically for my channel itself I have organized a blog, and I'm going to give you a link for that. So that link will help you to know all those things. So how, if you want to take the learning advantage, download the file, install Power BI, Dex Studio, ALM toolkit, tabular editor to download, report developer download, how to create Power BI ID. In case you don't have official ID, how to do that. Then this is the main video which you can watch. Then there are series which I have given the link, and these are the playlist. So I have given you the playlist link, so you can take the full advantage of that particular playlist. You can bookmark that, or you can bookmark this page. All the things are available here. There is Dex versus SQL. If you want to compare direct query, there was a series on that. Then this is the Hindi series. Again, it has 50 plus video. On demand, I have not listed. I'll list that out. On demand series is also there in Hindi. And if you are one who are looking for some videos in Hindi and I have not covered yet, you can always comment on any of my videos, and I typically do that on demand, this thing. So you can go ahead and take the advantage for that one, and you can pass on these links for to your friends and colleagues who are learning Power BI. Again, we already discussed about the one single video, because I think many of you have asked for it. So finally I decided in December that yes, we have to do it. I started working on it in since August, but December has so many changes that I have to re-record some of those which I've recorded in the past, because the color has changed, these new functions have come in. So I decided that yes, we need to have a bigger one, and the limitation on the YouTube is 12 hours. So that is why you have a 11-hour and a few minutes video. It could have been bigger if YouTube has allowed us. But yes, we will have more live classes, as if you keep on supporting these things on different channel mediums which are coming out. I'll keep on informing you on LinkedIn or Twitter, but just make sure you ping me on separately. If you're trying to looking for live classes, just ping me on LinkedIn. I already shared my ID, so you ping me there. Okay, so with that I'll thank you. I'll check if there is a last set of questions. If you have those, we can take it up. uh, okay, thank you all. I don't see any questions, so we will wrap it up here. And thanks for participating in today's call. um, and it was a pleasure speaking with you all today, and I hope I will be able to help you out continuously with my videos and channel. And in case you need few more things, I am available on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I also keep on answering questions on community. You can mark me at the rate there. So thank you all for attending. Phone number, please ping me separately on LinkedIn, and you tell me what you need, because if you only need informative, I will tell you the WhatsApp or the Telegram things. And if you need some information, just make sure you ping me on LinkedIn. I'll do that. Karan has asked, do we have any? I'm not sure what you have any. Phone number answer is ping me on LinkedIn. I'll try to give you the details. Okay, so thank you all. Thanks you for attending today's webinar. In case you are watching the recording of that one, please feel free to ping me on any of the videos or on LinkedIn. I have given already in the description, as well as I have given the link in the chat, which we are doing the live chat. You can take advantage of that. Thank you. I am wrapping up the today's session. It was a pleasure talking to you all this morning. Thank you.